All right, so are you ready to dive deep with me today?
Always. What are we exploring today?
Today, we're taking a look at this book. He's Not That Complicated. It promises to spill all the secrets about men, you know, understanding them better, building those really strong, fulfilling relationships.
Hmm, those are some pretty big promises. Capturing a man's heart, making him fall head over heels, inspiring devotion. Sounds a bit like a fairy tale, doesn't it?
Right. But here's the thing. The authors, Eric Charles and Sabrina Alexis, they aren't just like random relationship gurus.
Okay, so tell me what makes them so special.
They actually run this website, A New Mode, with a super popular Ask a Guy column. So they're dealing with the real questions, real relationship problems every day.
So they're getting a constant stream of insights straight from the source.
Exactly. And one of their boldest claims, they actually say a lot of the relationship advice we get, it's just wrong. Especially that stuff from friends or magazines.
Oh, I've definitely heard some questionable advice over the years. So what do they offer instead?
Well, they say they're cutting through all the BS, giving real-world solutions,
Mm-hmm.
all based on actual male psychology.
So it's like they have a direct line into the male mind.
You got it. And here's another interesting thing. They say men actually want to be enchanted, even seduced by women.
That's kind of refreshing, isn't it? Compared to some of those views that men only want superficial stuff.
Yeah, it flips the script completely. They argue that men actually crave deep connection, to feel captivated by a woman who gets them, you know.
Intriguing. So, how does the book actually deliver on all these promises? What's the style like?
Oh, it's really engaging. They use personal stories, testimonials from readers, even a Q&A section.
Makes it relatable, I bet.
Totally. Like chatting with a friend who's been there, done that. No stuffy lectures.
I like that. And do they get into specific situations? Because relationships are messy. There are so many tricky spots.
Oh, absolutely. They dive deep into all sorts of scenarios, like dealing with texting issues, figuring out if it's real love, those tough conversations about commitment.
Okay, so they're tackling the stuff we actually struggle with, not just vague theories.
Exactly. And they claim to have concrete techniques for handling each situation, all based on understanding the male psyche.
I'm curious, can you give us a sneak peek at one of these techniques?
Well, there's this thing called the instant training trick. I don't want to spoil it, but it's about responding to a guy's behavior in a way that encourages more of what you want.
Interesting. So you're subtly guiding him, almost like training, but in a positive way.
Right. And they also have 6 bonus sections. Each one tackles a different aspect of relationships.
Wow, so it's like a whole relationship toolkit.
Exactly. Plus, they offer a money-back guarantee. Shows how confident they are in their system.
That's a bold statement. They must really believe in their approach. But let's get to the heart of their argument. Give a man what he truly wants, and he will give you what you want. That sounds, well, a bit transactional.
Right. But they unpack it really well. They argue that men have specific emotional needs. When those needs are met, they naturally want to reciprocate. With love, devotion, the whole 9 yards.
So it's about understanding what truly motivates him deep down and meeting those needs in a way that feels authentic, not manipulative.
Exactly. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about tapping into this deeper connection.
I'm starting to see how this book could be valuable for women who want deeper, more fulfilling relationships.
So we're really digging into this idea of giving a man what he truly wants, and then in turn, he'll give you what you want. But it still feels a bit too simple, right? There has to be more to it than that.
Yeah, it's definitely not about like playing games or manipulating anyone. The book actually makes a really interesting point. It says when a woman truly understands a man's core emotional needs and she responds to those needs, well, it creates this dynamic where he naturally wants to give back. He wants to reciprocate with love and devotion, real commitment.
So it's like you're speaking his language emotionally. He feels seen, understood, makes sense.
Exactly. And speaking of speaking his language, they talk about love languages. How people give and receive love in different ways.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. I've definitely tripped up there before, not realizing we're expressing love in totally different ways.
Right. So the book dives into how men might show love through acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, or gifts.
Which means you have to figure out his specific love language, huh?
Exactly. And they give you guidance on how to do that, how to recognize it, and then importantly, how to express your love in a way that really resonates with him. It's about making sure you're both speaking the same language when it comes to love.
Okay, that's super helpful. Because, yeah, miscommunication there can lead to so much frustration. But they go beyond just love languages, right? Like, what about all those other relationship challenges, those day-to-day things that can drive you crazy?
Oh, they totally address those. Like, one example, texting issues. They dive into the male psychology behind, why guys sometimes take forever to respond or seem distant over text.
Ugh, yes. The texting game is the worst. All that overthinking and analyzing every word.
I know, right? But they actually offer a really interesting perspective. They say sometimes it's not about lack of interest at all. It's more that men need space to process their emotions, or maybe they're just super focused on something else at that moment.
So basically, don't freak out if he doesn't text back right away.
Right. They encourage women to relax, give him space, and avoid bombarding him with messages. And they say that makes you more attractive
Oh.
because it shows you're not, clingy or needy.
Like absence makes the heart grow fonder kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And they also talk about how to recognize real signs of love, versus just fleeting infatuation.
Okay, so how do you tell the difference? I feel like that's a question a lot of women ask themselves.
Well, they say it's about looking beyond those grand gestures. Pay attention to the smaller, everyday actions, the things that show real care and commitment.
Like consistency, effort, how much he actually includes you in his life.
Exactly. It's about seeing his actions over time, not just getting swept up in the initial excitement of a new romance.
So it's about being more discerning, right? Not just going for the surface stuff, but looking for those deeper signs of genuine connection.
Exactly. And they also talk about navigating those tricky conversations about commitment. How to approach those in a way that feels safe and respectful.
Oh man, those are the worst. The dreaded C word. It can be so nerve-wracking trying to figure out where you stand if he's on the same page.
They get that. They acknowledge a lot of women fear being strung along or wonder if he'll ever be ready to settle down. But they give advice on how to approach those conversations directly, but also respectfully.
So it's about being clear about your needs, but also understanding his perspective too.
Right. They say men often feel losing their freedom or feeling trapped. So it's about creating a relationship that feels expansive and fulfilling for both partners.
Finding that balance between togetherness and space.
Exactly. And you know how we talked about that behavior baiting technique that was in the earlier section?
Oh yeah, I was curious about that one. Remind me how that works again.
So basically, it's a way to deal with a man who's being distant or pulling away. Instead of chasing after him, you actually do the opposite. You create space, allow him to come to you.
So it's not about playing hard to get. It's about shifting the dynamic so you're not the one always pursuing.
Right. You focus on your own life, your passions. You radiate that confident, independent energy that they say men find so attractive. Like you're saying, hey, I have an amazing life. You're welcome to be a part of it, but I'm not going to chase you.
It takes the pressure off, and hopefully he realizes what he's missing.
Yeah. And they talk about understanding a man's emotional world, too.
Yeah,
Recognizing that men often express emotions differently than women.
right. Like we've always heard that men are less emotional. But this book is saying they just experience and express it differently.
Exactly. They might not be as verbally expressive, but they still feel things deeply. The book offers insights into how to actually read a man's emotional cues and respond in a supportive way without overwhelming him.
So it's about being more tuned to those subtle signals.
Yeah, and also understanding that men have this deep-seated need for respect. It's tied to their sense of competence and masculinity.
That makes sense. We all want to feel respected in our relationships, right?
Exactly. So the book gives guidance on how to communicate your needs and desires, but in a way that respects his ego and makes him feel truly valued.
So it's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
Being assertive, but respectful at the same time.
Right. And then there's a whole thing about men needing space.
Oh yeah, the classic man cave thing.
It's not about him needing to escape from you. It's about him having time to recharge, process his thoughts and feelings on his own.
So don't take it personally if he needs some alone time.
Exactly. And they even tackle how to deal with men who are emotionally unavailable, which can be super frustrating. But they say it is possible to break through those walls and build a deeper connection. It's about understanding the reasons behind that emotional distance.
So you're not trying to change him, but rather connect with him on a deeper level.
Right. And then they talk about commitment-phobic men, which so many women struggle with.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. I know so many women who've been there.
They suggest that commitment phobia often comes from, past hurts or a fear of being trapped. So they give guidance on how to approach it compassionately and how to build a relationship that feels safe and secure for both partners.
Addressing those underlying fears and making commitment feel less threatening.
Exactly. And they also emphasize having a healthy balance of power in the relationship.
Which is so important. No one wants to feel like they're always giving or being pursued.
Right. They want women to embrace their own power, create a dynamic where both partners feel equally valued and respected. True partnership.
Love it. What
Uh,
else?
oh, and keeping the spark alive. They have a whole section on that.
Which is so important, especially in long-term relationships. It's easy to get stuck in a rut.
They have tips on how to keep things exciting, fresh, how to prioritize intimacy and connection, just making a conscious effort to nurture the relationship.
Keeping the flame burning bright.
Exactly. And they also talk about handling those inevitable ups and downs. Those are going to happen in any relationship.
Oh, absolutely. Life throws curveballs, and you need the tools to handle those together.
Right. So they talk about how to communicate effectively, resolve conflicts, and just support each other through those tough times.
Building that foundation of trust and resilience.
Exactly. Oh, and they have a whole section about maintaining a sense of humor.
Because laughter is so important,
Yeah.
especially when things get stressful.
They encourage couples to find ways to laugh together, be silly, not take themselves too seriously. Life's too short, right?
Exactly. Find the joy in the journey, even when it's challenging. So it seems like they cover a lot of ground. It's not just about dating tips and tricks, is it? They're really pushing for this deeper understanding of yourself, of men, of love itself.
Absolutely. It's a holistic approach. It's about practical advice and exploring the deeper power of love.
And you can really feel their experience as relationship experts. They've clearly worked with so many couples, they just get it, you know?
Yeah, it's not just fluff. They acknowledge that relationships are tough, there will be ups and downs, but they offer hope and guidance to navigate those challenges and come out stronger.
So it's realistic, empowering. Not about waiting for Prince Charming, but about taking control of your love life.
Exactly. And one thing that really struck me, their emphasis on personal growth. It's not just about attracting a man, it's about becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah, cultivating those qualities that make you magnetic.
Right.
Confidence, self-love, all that.
Exactly. And that's what makes this book so empowering. It's not about changing who you are to fit some mold or playing games. It's about embracing yourself, knowing your worth, and using that to create a love that feels authentic, aligned with your true self.
Building a love that's based on mutual respect, understanding, and a desire to grow together.
Right. And they do a great job of blending that practical advice with these deeper insights about love. It really is a holistic approach.
So it sounds like if you're looking for a book that helps you understand men and inspires you to level up personally, to create a truly fulfilling relationship,
This is it. He's not that complicated. It's definitely worth checking out.
and ready to unlock those secrets to lasting love.
Absolutely. It's a great read for any woman ready to take charge of her love life.
Okay, so we've covered a ton about He's Not That Complicated. We've talked about understanding men, those emotional needs. We've gotten into all those common relationship hurdles and how to deal with them. But the big question everyone's thinking is, does it actually work? Like, will this book really help women create those amazing, lasting relationships?
That's the real test, right? And I think, honestly, the answer is yes. But there's a big if attached.
Oh, what's the catch?
It's like any self-help book, It's not some magic spell. You can't just read it passively and expect your love life to suddenly transform. You have to be willing to put in the work.
So it's a guide, a toolkit, not an instant solution.
Exactly. It takes effort. You have to engage with the material, think about your own patterns, those things you do in relationships. And then, most importantly, you have to actually apply those principles in your own life. It's about taking charge, being proactive.
Owning your love life. I like that. Who do you think would benefit most from this book?
I think it's especially good for women who are feeling frustrated with men. Those women who just can't figure out what's going on in a guy's head. This book gives a new perspective, one that's about understanding, not judging.
So it's like they're saying, look, men aren't from another planet. They're just wired differently. Here's how to decode them.
Yeah. And the authors, with their experience, you can tell they've worked with tons of couples. They get the dynamics of love, of commitment. Their advice just feels real, not like some made-up theory.
No sugarcoating either.
Right. They're honest about how relationships can be hard. There will be bumps in the road.
Yeah.
But they offer hope, too. They show you how to deal with those tough times and come out stronger.
So it's a realistic approach. Empowering women to create the love lives they want. Not waiting around for Prince Charming, but going after it. Understanding men, understanding themselves.
Exactly. And I love how much they emphasize personal growth. It's not just about finding a man, it's about becoming the best version of you.
becoming that woman who attracts amazing relationships.
Yeah. Cultivating those qualities that draw people in. Confidence, self-love, purpose, passion.
That's what makes it truly empowering. It's not about changing who you are or playing games. It's about embracing your true self, knowing your worth, building a love that reflects that.
Absolutely. And I love how they blend practical advice with those deeper insights about love. It's like mind, heart, and soul all in one package.
So the bottom line is, if you're looking for a book that helps you understand men but also inspires you to grow, to create a truly fulfilling relationship.
This is it. He's not that complicated. Check it out.
Find those secrets to lasting love.
And until next time, keep exploring those relationship depths and never stop believing in the power of love.
Happy reading.